welcome all of you. This is our first, what I'll call the Imagine Zoom sessions. This is a resurrection of Diana's Open Doors Zoom sessions. So we're gonna try to have these once a month with different topics. And the idea is we'll give you some information, and then we'll have key people in the district tell their stories of how they've have done well in certain of these areas. And so I'm now going to turn it over to Tracy Gagnon in the Wachusett Area Club, and she is our district membership chair. Tracy, it's all yours.
Thank you. Thanks, Dr. Victor. Thank you, everyone, for coming. If you're not muted, just mute yourself until we move on, just in case there's any dog barking like at my house. And I want to thank you all for coming. And a lot of you I know, some of you I don't know, but that's the power of Rotary, is getting involved beyond your club and getting to know all the wonderful people and all the exciting things that are going on. So just a little bit about me, so you kind of understand how I maybe got asked to be district membership chair. I was a member of the Hampton Rotary Club for 3 years. And every time there was something to do in the club, I said, I'll help. And then they said, who wants to do an international grant? And I said, I will. And so we wound up doing a 3-year international grant on water. And we went into the 7 schools in our service area. And we did this service project called Drop by Drop. And we tried to teach the kids, because we lived by the beach, that even though there's water everywhere, only 3% of the world's water is drinking water. And we were very successful at that. It was really exciting. I brought in lots of collaborators. I was talking today at the Clinton Club. I worked with the Interact. They helped me with some of the technology pieces. I worked with the water company, Aquarian Water, and I took a video camera and we went like kind of Bill Nye the Science Guy, and we showed the kids what the control room and what the wells looked like and the noise and the sound to teach the kids about that. We had rain barrels that we gave each school. And then we wound up trying to get some clean water for Guatemala. And then after that happened, and they saw how hard I worked at that, there was an opportunity to go on an exploratory grant to Guatemala. And they said, who wants to go? And I was like, I will. And I didn't even know where I was going. Honestly, I wasn't quite sure, but I had volunteered to go to Guatemala with the incoming district governor. And I spent a week in Guatemala. And it was just a life-changing experience. And I'm forever grateful to Rotary. And anybody who knows me probably has heard this conversation time and time again. And in my workaday world, I've done a bunch of different things. I've been a school counselor, school secretary, those kinds of things. But I also worked for the Greater Dover Chamber of Commerce as their membership and community relations manager for 7.5 years. And I now work for the North Central Mass Chamber of Commerce as the membership and engagement manager. So membership is kind of like on my mind. And in addition to membership, I grew up in a restaurant family. So I was the hostess, and we were always hosting people, and I grew up at the restaurant, and, people saw me in my prom dress. People saw me turn 5 years old, everybody sang. So this sense of belonging is really, really important to me. And I bring that everywhere I go about membership. And there's kind of 3 big principles that Dr. Victor and Elliot and Joyce decided they would do a 3-year plan, which I thought was really a great idea. And then they asked me to just review it and make some comments. And so the one big principle that I have is never just get a member, focus on retaining members, know your process for getting members into your club and keeping them there. And that means all those little things, because people are making a choice to spend $1,200 or more with you and a lot of their valuable time. So make sure that you have their name tag and their name is on your roster and that they understand who to go to for what. Do that work first before you decide to start bringing in members. Because if somebody, right from day one, people are going to start to evaluate your club. And the word club is interesting because there's 2 letters, UB, and I always think of it as you belong. And that's what we want. We want people to feel like they belong, whether they're visiting us, whether they're trying us out, or whether they're a long-standing member or somebody maybe who's been away and come back. You belong, you belong, you belong. And today, when I visited the Clinton Club, I had a great experience about that very principle. I showed up and Dr. Victor was there with the club, and I went to another table and I kind of sat down, and this very nice gentleman who his name is Paul, I heard that later, he just motions me over and he says, come sit with us. And I sat down. They pulled the chair. We made the circle bigger, and I sat down and I listened. And then we wound up talking a little bit about membership. And the other thing that he did that was just so nice was I walked up to the line for the luncheon, and I was talking with this other woman, and then he just very graciously said, here, you ladies go in front of me, just being a nice host to us. And I was just like, wow, how nice was that? And thinking about those little things, like in our club, when someone comes to our club, if they're not familiar with Happy Dollars, I always offer them $1 and say, we do Happy Dollars. Here's $1 for you as our guest today. So think about those little things so that every interaction that people have with your club, they get the UB feeling, you belong. I just think it goes so far, because once someone leaves Rotary, we know when they're dissatisfied and they leave any kind of organization, whether it's the chamber, Rotary, whatever it is, they tell 10 people how disappointed they were about their experience. Same with a restaurant. If they had a great meal, they might tell 2 or 3. If they had a bad experience, they tell 10 people. So just everything that we do with new members, make sure they're getting the sense that they belong. Another wonderful thing that happened to me when I came to Worcester Club a few years ago was I volunteered to go to Thanksgiving meal at the Salvation Army, downtown Worcester. And I didn't really know my way around. And one of the older members said, he's Robert Johnson, who's now passed, Rotarian for 47 years. He says, I'll wait for you outside, Tracy, so you know where to go. And that was a big deal to me because I had moved here from New Hampshire. So going to downtown Rotary at night, or downtown Worcester at night, was like kind of a scary thing for me. So again, everything that you can do with a new member, somebody coming in, share your phone number, share your email, make sure they have a membership roster with the names and your board members, anything you can do to let them know that they belong, they're part of your club. So that's my one big idea. So my other big idea is find ways to work along with service recipients. And one of our Rotarians in our club is also on the Boy Scout. He's the executive council person for the Boy Scouts. So of course he asked me to be on the Boy Scout Executive Council. And that made me start thinking about how valuable would this be? I have to step back maybe a little bit. When we think about ourselves, when we think about our clubs, we always think about us. And I believe in this principle called servant leadership. And true leadership is servanthood. So you put the interests of others at the center of all your decisions. And so in the idea of servant leadership, we really have to kind of stop thinking of ourselves as we're keeping the clubs for ourselves. We're not. We're really preparing our clubs for future generations, because really we're all here so that Rotary survives long after we're members. How do we do that? What does it look like? Preparing ourselves for future generations. One of my ideas is that maybe we work alongside some youth organization and we make an intentional effort, not just a let's do this once, but let's do this a committed effort for a few years. And let's use Boy Scouts for an example. So many of our members are silver-haired like me. I have a lot of enthusiasm, but I don't have a lot of might. And our Boy Scouts have the heart of service. Their leaders have the heart of service, but sometimes they don't have the funds to do what they want to do in the community. And they might need some mentorship. So what a great way to blend two great organizations. We have the money, we have the mentors, and really use them in a meaningful way in our clubs to have these intergenerational exchanges, not just them to come as be the lackeys, but them to really start developing their leadership skills. And when they come to our club, to let them be the present or the host, rather than them watching the old people do it. Let them come and start to refine their leadership skills, because pardon? Okay. One of the things I remember, and I was talking about this last week, is in 4th grade, we had a teacher, Mr. Tramontosi, and we did all these projects. We made terrariums, we did bottle cutting, we did maps on the floor of the classroom. That's the guy who I remembered the most. So when he looked me up on Facebook a few months ago, it turns out he lives not too far. And so I said, Mr. Tramontosi, I said, let's get together. Let's have a margarita. My husband and I are going to Cape Cod. I want to thank you for being a great teacher. And I think if we could have more of those experiences for our youth, instead of them coming and standing around or being, you know, doing maybe meaningful things, but really be more active in the process of the planning and the implementation. I think that would, as they age out, they would know what Rotary was about. As some of their leaders, their life changes, they might come into Rotary, and we have an opportunity, instead of tapping at one person at a time, introducing them to Rotary, we're working alongside a whole group of people that could really be influenced and get hooked on Rotary the way the rest of us are. So I think that's a great way to look at our clubs, as we're not here for ourselves. We're here to prepare our clubs for future generations. How do we do that? What does it look like? Who can we partner with in our community so that we're getting the word out about what we're doing and we're involving them in a meaningful way, because Rotary grows leaders. And there was one other thing, pardon me. So maybe that was it. Okay. Yeah. And, you know, really flipping your youth, you know, even if you have an Interact club, again, flipping the experience. Like we learn this in school, flip the classroom, let the students be the teachers, or you're the facilitator. So if you have an Interact club, instead of having your Interact club just come and see what you do, you know, once or twice a year, that's not really as meaningful for them. These kids today, they have the skills, they have the potential. Let them look on YouTube to see how a club is run, how a meeting is run, and then invite them as the guest hosts. Their parents will come, you can get their school administrators to come, and you show people, this is how Rotary grows future leaders. There's opportunities for youth. There's RILA, there's Youth Exchange, there's Interact, there's Rotaract. Show our interactors that Interact isn't just your community service for the year. This can be something that grows with you as you grow. You go on to Rotaract, you can travel internationally. I mean, what a wonderful thing for youth to know that if they travel internationally and they go to a Rotary meeting, that they're going to be embraced like family in another country, just because of the word Rotary that unites us all. So those are kind of my ideas about membership. I'm really happy to come to people's club and talk with them. I'm happy to consult with people. You can email me anything that you want, because I think about it a lot, and I really want Rotary to, you know, really grow in these next couple of years. And I think this plan, this 3-year plan, instead of, you know, what I've seen in Rotary is it's one person's year to lead, and then the next year it's a completely different club or a completely different experience. We want a stable experience for people, so they know that Rotary is here for them, that we're, you know, consistently providing an excellent experience for everyone who comes in contact with Rotary. And we have 3 great people who are going to share their success stories tonight. Jan Lucietti from the Western Whaling Club. She's the membership chair from the Western Whaling Club. She's going to talk to us, and then we'll get Alex and also Mark Vital. And I don't know if Johnny made it tonight, but Johnny's another, Johnny Ahern. So Jan, if you want, thank you for coming. And if you want to share some ideas, that would be great.
Sure. And I come with 1,000 ideas, so I'm going to try to condense it into something short. First of all, you said something that's really, really important. I've been the membership chair, actually almost without naming it, since the beginning, 2016, and then I became the president, and I was still, I thought, the membership person. So I kept trying to bring people in because I don't think people know of it, but sharing contact information, what you said, Tracy, everybody should have everybody's phone and email in their own phone. I get calls every day from members, all my members, not all day, every day, but everyone's always calling me, asking me questions. So they all have my number, you know, so, and this is new members, people who've been around. So I really think that's a great idea. Well, since 2019, we've had a growth of 27 new members. In 2021, we had 15 new members, and 5 of those are honorary. And we did a little bit of what you were saying, Tracy. We started to reach out to the principals, the police, the fire, Scouts. We're now partnered with the Scouts, and we've got one of the head guys of Scouts. He just was inducted as a member in our club. So I think, you know, 2021, we inducted 15 members. So I was a little overwhelmed, and I started a mentor program, which I think is also really important. I think anyone that refers someone to your club should actually be that person's mentor and follow them through. That means a lot because they're the first introduction to Rotary, and they actually should be their main contact person. Our mentorship program didn't work that well. I don't know if it was because of COVID. I think one of the biggest things is that we invite everybody all the time for everything. And we tell them, you come when you can. You don't have to be a member. We'd love to see you volunteer, come to a meeting, because we're meeting with Interact, Scouts, all these people that we want, you know, them to see what we're doing. COVID brought us outside, so we had to pivot and change. So we started a conservation project outside, the Children's Business Fair outside, the Christmas tree sale outside. So that allowed us to get together outside of Zoom or being in a luncheon place or a dinner place. I think one of the other things too is that we opened it up to all towns. We have people from Sharon, Brookline, Framingham, Wellesley, Newton. They're from everywhere. Zoom helped us a lot with that. But they are coming to the meetings where we meet, wherever we meet. And we're not always meeting in the same location. We change it up a bit, but it's every Thursday night. I think our networking breakfast, which I won't get into that big of a deal, but John and I started that 4 years ago. We're getting a lot of members through our networking breakfast, the Rotary Business Networking. I also encourage word of mouth. We talk about, you know, all members, you know, talking to other people. It's teamwork. It's not just me bringing in these members or John Marchioni. Everybody's working to bring in members. So I think that's also really important. I have a fireside chat with anyone who wants to be a member of our club. I guess the Western Maryland Rotary Club used to have them all the time. I brought them back, whether they're in Zoom or in person, but I invite, I schedule a time for us to meet with a prospective member who's already joined 1 or 2 meetings, and we have a fireside chat, and I invite everyone in the club to join us. So there's usually 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people maybe on the phone call. And let me tell you, it is a lot of fun. I've even had double and triple fireside chats. Those go a little longer, about an hour, but everybody gets to interact. We get to talk about Rotary. We get to find out what the prospective members' passions are. And so we learn a lot about each other, especially when we weren't meeting in person. So that was really nice. Oh my God, I have so much to say. So I love your 3-year plan. I think that's crucial. We're starting to do a succession plan ourselves, something we haven't done before. I think that's really important. You talked about retaining members. James Brasco is brand new to the Rotary Club of Weston and Wayland. And on the night of his induction, or about a week before, I asked him if he wanted to be on the membership team, and he jumped right in. Getting people, when you talk about retention, just get them involved immediately. Get them involved in something that they're interested in. Well, he's a really outgoing guy. I thought, God, he'd be great on the membership team. And he's really having fun, and he loves doing the fireside chats. Talk about working along with service recipients. That has to do with the school, with Interact, with our tree sale that we do every year for the first graders. We've now gotten the principals of the middle schools involved in that too. So it really starts to open the doors. At the dinners, Interact, our scholarship dinners, we invite the parents, their entire families, their grandparents, whoever they want to bring, we let them bring with them. And we pay for the recipient or the guest of Rotary or the speaker. We always pay for those people ourselves. And then the rest of the family members.
Turning my camera on.
Oh God, train everyone on Club Runner so they can get a hold of everybody when they need to. The other thing too, the last thing I'm going to say, and you can ask any questions you want, but we actually, a little while ago, I think, Diana, you were part of this. Happy birthday, Diana. And membership through passion and sharing. We actually have a video that we did, and anyone that wants it can have it. So I say happy birthday to Diana because I know everybody's birthdays in my club. So Diana just had a birthday.
Thank you.
So things like that. You know, I reconfigured the membership team a little bit. There's now just 3 of us instead of 8 of us. That was too much to manage. So it's just 3 of us. And it's a brand new team. So I'm still doing a little bit of it, but we'll meet bi-weekly. I have 8 prospective members who want to join the Rotary Club. Whether they'll all join or not, I don't know. But we stay in touch with them all the time and invite them all the time. And they have to attend at least 2 or 3 meetings. And we've relaxed the membership process. It's not a nightmare to become a member of the Rotary Club. We inducted an 85-year-old last year. We inducted an 82-year-old, and they're incredibly active in the club. And our youngest member is about 24. So we're ranging from 24 to now 86. So I don't know. There's just a ton of things. I could go on and on and on, but I definitely want to hear from other people also. So thank you for the opportunity.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. So Alex, are you still here?
Yes.
Is it a good time for you to share some of the things you're doing with us from Leominster Club?
From Fitchburg. Yes.
From Fitchburg, I'm sorry.
Give me 1 second.
Hi, Johnny. I saw you show up. And if anybody has any questions, if you want to type some questions, we're hoping to have a few minutes at the end to take questions. But if you want to type them into the chat, that's fine. Or, you know, raise your hand. We'll try to stop so we have time at the end.
Awesome. So I do have with me with us today Glenn Fossa. He is our membership chair of the Fitchburg Club. And so I'm going to yield some of my time at the end. I'm not going to take too long, just to go over an idea that he brought along to our club. So I think the biggest thing is, like Tracy had mentioned earlier, is retention. And, you know, so right now, I think the very first thing that we have to worry about is setting a goal. Don't be afraid to set an ambitious goal. When I was inducted as president last month, I set a goal of 20 new members for the Rotary year. And as you know, we're in the 2nd month of the Rotary year. And so far, our club has added 6 new members. So we're a quarter of the way to our goal. And we actually have 1 more member that is going to join within the next few weeks. So that will be up to 7 in just the 2nd month of the Rotary year. So that's the first thing, is set an ambitious goal, because if you don't set a goal, then you don't know where you're going. The second thing is, I think that it's important to get to know the passions of these new people. You know, it's important to know what they're passionate about and connect them into the Rotary world that way, you know, and let them know that there are a lot of different things that, you know, they can succeed with, that they're passionate about. And I think another big thing is making sure that they know, and making sure that your club is welcoming, having a welcoming environment, but making sure that the table is growing. Because I think a lot of times in organizations like ours, that there's a table and it's set. Oh, this person is the secretary, this person does this person does that. And it doesn't really seem like there's any room for growth, and it doesn't seem like any new, it seems like it's very hard for new people to, you know, be involved. So I think it's very important that the people know that their table is welcoming to all, and it's forever growing. Another thing is DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. I think that's something that's very, very important right now. As you all may know, Rotary International did update their international bylaws and guidelines to include diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so I think that we need to, you know, make sure that we're all, you know, following to that same high standard. So but one thing we recently did was we added a DEI committee, and along with that, it's going to have a DEI chair, and that DEI chairperson will be added as a board member, so that they can make sure that our club is, you know, following all protocols, and that we're doing the best that we can to be open to all people. And then there's a great idea that I'm going to yield my time to Glenn, that he came up with, and it's about sponsoring new members.
Yeah, so thank you, Alex. I'll make this really short. One of the unfortunate situations for our club is the challenge that about 28% of our community is at or below the poverty line. However, that, as you well all know, doesn't mean that those folks are neither motivated nor best intentions to be part of their community in the best way. So if they're somewhat financially challenged, but had plenty or have plenty of motivation and can be good club members, and the desire to be members, we've kind of informally taken on this sponsorship, similar to circles that obviously are commitment over a 10-year period. Just that first year to get someone through the door, not to worry about the financial, potentially hardship or commitment to being a member. Once again, I think the common denominator to the success of membership that I've heard tonight on the call is sort of decentralizing, deformalizing, not getting so caught up in what used to be sort of the protocol and the role. You know, it's okay to kind of hit the ground running. As an example of that, I just want to say, kind of in closing, I was past president for 2 terms. I think that's a good thing. I kind of encourage that now, having seen 2-term presidents back to back have success. It's like being the mayor of a city and you're there for 2 years, and in the second year, you're worried about getting reelected. So what you learned in the first year, you can't really even implement in the second year, because now you got to worry if you're going to be the mayor again. Alex is a direct example of that. We took a chance, a young member, certainly energetic and interested, and maybe what he didn't know going into his first term, he was anxious about learning. And what do we get? One of the most successful young presidents, probably at least in the district and in the area. Now celebrating, not to outdo any other club, but signing up a new member at 18 years of age, knows about Ryland, knows about all those concepts, but reaching to the young people with a sort of informal approach. So back to you, Alex. I'll let you close it up.
Awesome. Thank you, Glenn. Yeah, and I think that, you know, that commitment piece, like Glenn said, you know, sometimes it's someone is passionate and they want to be a part of Rotary, but maybe that you know, the membership dues are a little too much. And I'm not saying that you have to, you know, we're not saying that you have to sponsor the whole thing, but even 75% of it, and maybe they you know, put in the other 25%, but at least, you know, get them in the door so they can see what Rotary is all about. And, you know, obviously, and then you get to know their needs and you put them in different positions and put them at the table, and then they'll stay and they'll be, you know, excited, and they'll, you know, eventually probably go up the ranks as, you know, president, and who knows, maybe even our next district governor. So I think it's just very important that, you know, we are open to all people and open to all options as well. When we're thinking about membership, and don't be afraid to reach out to anyone. You know, I think that you have to be passionate about Rotary. I think we're all passionate about helping people. That's why we are Rotarians. So that passion comes through when we speak to new people. So just don't forget why you joined Rotary, and tell them about that. Thank you, Tracy, for allowing us to speak today.
Oh, thank you, Alex. And thank you, Glenn, my office mate. And I'm really proud to know you guys as Rotarians, and have visited the club many times. And I just want to say one little thing about DEI, because I visited a club once, and one of the members sweetly said, you know, we have to think about DEI. We can't just have all people who look like us. And DEI is about diversity, equity, inclusion is so much more than just about having people who look different from us. It's about people with different abilities. It's about people with hearing issues. It's about our, you know, keeping our older people involved and getting younger people on board. It's so much more than just finding people of other skin tones or, you know, it's about making sure that our practices reflect, you know, are comfortable for everyone who comes into the club. The whole you belong thing. Not everybody prays to the same God anymore. So how do we make it so maybe we offer a moment of silence versus a prayer, you know, doing things intentionally and thoughtfully so that anybody who comes to our club feels like they belong. And I think these are some great examples that Glenn and Alex and Jan have shown. And Johnny is gonna, from the Leominster Club, he's the president of the Leominster Club. He's gonna talk to us about some of his things, and then we'll close out with Mark. So thank you.
Good evening, everybody. So I really don't want to take much from the other members in our club. As far as our membership goes, and just so everyone knows, I am a passenger in a vehicle right now, so I am not driving and Zooming. But so we have added 6 new members, or we've inducted 6 new members into our club in the last 2 weeks. And we have 2 more that our members we have not been able to get them to have their induction ceremonies. And honestly, that is thankful to our other members that have brought them on. Some of these have been, you know, a month or so, or even longer in the process of bringing them on board. Now, a lot of them are corporate members. So we do have 3 different corporate members, and then they brought on 2 or 3 for their particular business. So in reality, we have 3 new members, but we have about 8 total between all 3 of them. Now, we have brought on a mix of male and female, different ages. We just had Evangeline, so she is my store manager. We brought her on, and she is the first one in 20s. Yesterday was actually her 20th birthday when we got to induct her. So she is our youngest member. But as far as bringing on new members, I asked Frank, I said, how did we bring on these members? And he sent me a response with 2 words. I asked. That was it. So it is very important that people are asking people to join. I know as far as Evangeline goes, she's been asking me for about a year now to join Rotary, just because she sees things I'm doing with the club and what the club's doing with the community. So with her, she just wanted to be involved. And at the same time, we weren't sure if it was going to be too much adding that on to her normal work. She was a student at Fitchburg State. So we said, you know, give it time. If you think you can handle it, then we'll add it on, you know, at a later time. And we were at a position now where I think she can handle a little bit more responsibility, and she can handle doing more for the community. She does great for my store, so I would like to see what she can do outside of the store. There are several different people I have in mind of asking to join the club. Now, my goal is to not only increase the size of our club, but increase the quality of our club. Now, you can bring on new members night and day. However, if they're just going to be members that are on paper as a member, that defeats the whole purpose. My goal is to have new members come on board, one, with a fresh set of eyes, because having a new set of eyes and new perspective on things not only will benefit the club, but it will benefit the members as well to kind of think outside the box or come up with a new perspective of things. So I think having that fresh blood, as you should say, would kind of spark a little fire within the club. I also want to see a little bit of diversity as far as ethnic background, religious backgrounds, sexual orientation, all of the different levels of diversity is what I want to see in our club. And I know Frank is on here. If I don't want to put him on the spot, but if he would like to add anything, Frank, please do. But for the most part, that's pretty much all our club does, is ask to see if they want to be a member. And now that we have them in our club, we have to keep them in our club. So we have to keep them engaged. And I think by doing that, one of the first things I'm going to do is let them know these are the different areas that we have, whether it's service, whether it's community involved. I want to see what interests them and kind of tag them along with one of these different groups, just so they can see, one, they're new to Rotary. They don't really understand a lot about it yet. So while they're new, put them on a service committee and just kind of let them see how it works and pique their interest a little bit more. So I think doing that quickly rather than a year down the road will keep them in and motivated a little bit longer.
Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you.
Frank, are you there? Anything to add?
I am. And Johnny's correct. You know, we back in 2019, we had a number of people join our club, younger people. Johnny was one of them. And, you know, after they were in the club for about a month or two or maybe three, they said, hey, we don't know what's going on. We hear all these acronyms, we don't understand them, you know, and that kind of, you know, gave us a beacon that, hey, we have to get these people on. And as Diana said, get them engaged from the very beginning, give them a job or ask them what they want to do and get them involved in the club. And that way they will be retained. We kind of lapsed for a couple of years, but then, you know, towards the end of my term and, you know, as Johnny's taken over, we've decided to really focus on it. And it boils down to the people who are coming in, we just ask them. We've known them for years, you know, but we just never asked them. And that's our fault. It's not as simple as that because a lot of them, you know, they're all busy and as you know, everybody has an excuse. But once you ask them enough times, all of a sudden they see what Rotary is doing, get them involved, and they will stay and they will join and then they will stay. I kind of gloss over everything because a lot of great ideas, but if you get them involved, as I believe Diana said also, or somebody said, I don't remember, Tracy it was probably, if they don't have a feeling of belonging, they won't stay. And that's the key of it. Okay. Thanks, Johnny, for your time. And thanks everybody for listening to an old man.
Oh, Frank, you're not an old man. Come on. All right. And Mark Vitale, are you still here?
I am still here.
Okay, take it away, please.
Good evening, everyone. The Marble Club over just this year has added about 12 members, new members, and we're probably going to have over 25, 30 by the end of the year. My goal is to add 50 by the end of my tenure. So what are we doing? Because all the other clubs in Marlboro, the Junior Women's Club, the Lions, the Eagles, the Moose, they're all struggling to keep members. And the Rotary seems to be setting the high bar. And they all want me to be their speaker at their monthly meetings to come tell them how to get new members. So what did I do? Well, first thing I did was I looked around my club and I did see a lot of people like me. that was not reflective of our community whatsoever. Marlboro has a high Brazilian and Hispanic population. There were no Brazilians or Hispanics in our Rotary. We talked about it. We said it's real important, but nobody ever really seemed to do anything. So, you know, it's important, I think, to start off by saying, what's our needs? What do we want to be when we grow up? And how do we want to be reflective of our own community? And that's not just race, ethnicity. Everyone always said that already, but it's also like specialties too, right? Do you have a CPA that's one of the, do you have an attorney? Do you have, you know, various specialties that are only going to help you grow as a club? I think is also something. So you set your needs, what your needs, and then you go after it. And for me, there was two groups of people that I thought would be ideal Rotarians. And you guys can use this as well. I use LinkedIn, first of all, because I can learn an awful lot about my contacts through LinkedIn. I figured that empty nesters, all these parents who have been incredible parents, running their kids around from baseball games to softball fields to Boy Scouts and so forth, you know, once their kids go off to college, they're great volunteers. And now they have all this extra time. So if you get those young parents, you know, in their early 40s, now the kids are or mid 40s, the kids have gone off to college. It's a perfect opportunity to ask them to come be a Rotarian. The other one is I've been very lucky in attracting young professionals. These are people that are climbing the corporate ladder quick, but I'm getting them before they get the young family. Because you know, once they start having children, it becomes more and more difficult to go to your meetings. So I'm getting a lot of young professionals, and that's where LinkedIn comes in. I go in there and I do some searching by Marlboro and see who's connected to who, and then I say, hey, I know you through this and this and this. I introduce them a few lines about Rotary, and I said, let's have a cup of coffee. Just let's have a cup of coffee. Some of them say, how about a beer? I said, that's good too. But I go meet with them and I explain to them all, what Rotary is all about. And 95, you all know this, 95% of the people we talk to don't know anything about Rotary. So they say, wow, I didn't realize there was that many Rotarians around the globe and so forth and so on. And I get them all excited about it. So you need to first do a needs analysis, then figure out who is the best target group in which to try to recruit. Use social media. We use LinkedIn. Now, this is something that's interesting. I put a lot of posts out there in LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and you know how many members I got through those posts? And I always say, message me or email me if you're interested in about being a Rotarian. You know how many I got? Not a one. But you still do it because I think branding is important. Getting the exposures out there is real important. Some of you, the only way you're going to get a new member, at least in my book, is to ask them. You need to physically ask them, maybe start off with a message or an email, but then you say, can I please talk with you, and make the time to talk with them. And once you get talking with them about how great Rotary sells itself, at least in my experiences. The club, Marlboro, it's not just to say that you need to celebrate diversity, you need to live it. You need to do everything about it. Let me give you an example. I wanted to start rotating our lunches from different ethnic locations. And one of my members, who was very excited about getting a diverse club, said, I'll drop dead before I eat in a Mexican restaurant. And I said, excuse me? Like, that's not celebrating diversity, right? You have to do everything you can about diversity. And promote it and celebrate it as much as you possibly can. What I did, and again, I took this from somebody I met during my training last year, is I did it, and it's booming, is I offer $500 grants for new members. So I tell everyone I'm talking to over coffee or a beer to bring your passions with you into Rotary. And then I tell them that once they're in, I say, now I'm going to give you $500 grant to take that passion and make it happen. And already we just started, and three of the five are already being used in different service projects. So that's kind of putting your money where your mouth is. If you really want to bring them in and bring in those passionate individuals, then give them $500 to try to take that passion and make it grow. We started having our social meetings. I find that the younger generations enjoys social gatherings, that fellowship. So we now have a monthly social gathering. We're going deep sea fishing. We're going bowling. We're going to learn how to make Brazilian drinks. Yeah. So hopefully I survive the deep sea fishing and the Brazilian drinks. But have some fun doing it. Just go out there and not just go out and bowl, or go out and do a paint night, or do whatever you need to do to just kind of bring in everybody. So now 2 of my young superstars, in fact, I don't think she's here tonight, but one of them is already, some of the folks over in districts have already tried to recruit him to go over districts. I have one gentleman who's Hispanic and one who's Brazilian. And I brought them out for drinks last week. And I said, okay, Sebastian Allen, I said, the Rotary, the future of the Rotary is in your hands. I need you to go through your friends in LinkedIn, or your connections in LinkedIn, your friends on Facebook, your friends in Instagram, and give me a list of 20 folks that you would like to see in your Rotary 5 years from now. So start using those lists, all those friends that you have in Facebook, all those connections you have in LinkedIn, start using them to your benefit. Go through them step by step. No, ooh, that's a possibility. Ooh, that's another one. And just send them a message. And you'll be surprised at how many, you just, all you have to say is service above self. And that motto really resonates with a lot of people. And when it resonates with someone, they're willing to go out and have a cup of coffee with you. And once you get the cup of coffee, like I said, the Rotary sells itself. So we've been very, very fortunate. We're going to be doubling our size of our club in a year. And hopefully that will continue, so that we're doing some special things in the district too. So,
Mark, that's great. And I want to mention one of the things I heard from Alex's club was they inducted someone, I want to say in July, and this Thursday, they are having an overdose awareness night in Fitchburg. So she came in July as a brand new member to their club, and tomorrow night they are having an overdose awareness night, because this is something this woman was passionate about. They heard this, and instead of saying, well, wait a while, you're new to our club, you don't know how it works here, hold on, we have this going on, they said, let's do it. And that's how you solidify. In my club, when I was in Hampton, I had this idea about children's gardens, and we went to Head Start and we made some children's gardens, and then we built children's gardens at another preschool. First thing, like right off the bat, I said, oh, and they said, geez, we haven't done a service project in a while. Like, this sounds like a great idea. And right off the bat, we were doing 2 service projects at 2 preschools. So really, don't be stuck on how you do things at your club. This is not your club. This is our futures clubs. And we're the servant leaders. We're the place keepers. And we have to keep Rotary growing. And we have to keep people thinking that they belong. And I loved what Alex said about making sure that the table is big enough, and if you think about, the letter B, even in the letter B for belong, there's usually 2 groups, right? And if we cut the B in half, it's open. And that's what we want. We want our clubs to be open. We want our tables to always have room for more chairs. Have the chairs out. Don't make people find their own chair and squeeze in. Have the chairs out and ready, so that anybody who's coming into our club could be a potential member. And one of the great things about Johnny Ahern's club in Leominster, I saw just happen just last week, was I was sitting at my desk at the chamber, and John comes in from the Leominster club, and one of my coworkers had spoken at their club about a month before, and he came in with his Rotary shirt and his name tag on, and he had some paperwork in his hand, and he said, Travis, I think you'd make a great Rotarian, and I'd like to invite you to be a member of the Leominster club. And Travis was standing there, and John and he talked, and I said, Trav, I think you'd be a great addition to the Leominster club, and they're a great club. And I said, and I'd be happy to be at your induction when you get inducted. But rather than when people are at your club as a speaker, hitting them up for membership as they're speaking, they're there to speak, but wait a week or so, send them a thank you note for coming to your club, and then say, geez, I'd love to talk to you about Rotary, if you think they'd be a great addition to your club, because we don't want to add just bodies. We want to add great Rotarians, people with a heart for service, people with a heart for working with others. So thank you all. Are there any questions? We've got a couple minutes here. Any questions?
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm wondering what everybody does with their social media or their websites. Like, we update our website weekly on who spoke or who is speaking. I'm wondering, and every Monday we send out, you know, the wheel, which is our newsletter, which goes to everybody that's ever attended our meeting. So we're sending it to about 2,000 people, and that grows each week. When we get new people in, speakers, whoever, they're added to our contact list with permission, and they're receiving our full newsletter on Monday. And then on Thursday, just the Rotary Club gets an email, unless that person opts in to get also the Thursday email. So I'm curious what people are doing in that arena.
And I want to say that programming is really important. Like, you know, sometimes people say, like, you know, well, membership is one thing and programming is another thing. No, there's an overlap, because when you have really good programming and you know who's coming ahead of time, and there's a little bio, and you know the context, then if somebody's coming and they're coming to talk about the environment, and you have 3 friends that are really interested in the environment, you can ask them in enough time so that they can come to your meeting. But if you don't get the meeting notice until the night before, and you just see Dave Gagnon is coming, and you don't know what Dave Gagnon is coming to speak about, you can't plan any potential member visits around the topics, because you don't know what's going on in your club. So really having strong programming, trying to plan a little bit in advance, really makes a big difference if you're using some of the programming as a way to attract members.
And I think having name tags for non-members is also huge. We have name tags for everybody, kids, grandparents. We get everybody's names when we can, but for the most part, it's nearly 99%.
That's a great, and just using the name tags and making sure maybe you get the person's name tag so that when they join, you present them with their Rotary pin and their Rotary name tag, because again, you belong. What better way to tell somebody they belong than by presenting them with their name tag for your club?
Excuse me, Tracy. One other thing that we did a couple months ago, we did a service assembly, and I was told by some of our veteran members that that used to be common in Rotary, you know, a few years back, where experts would come into your club and conduct a service assembly. And we had a whole table that was just all of our new members who came up with 3 new service projects through that service assembly process. So if you're not familiar with them, you know, just, you know, ask Elliot or Diana or Victor, and there are experts within the district that can come to your club and help you with that service assembly.
Well, honestly, I've never heard of the service assembly, so that's interesting to me. But I think that everybody's program of service should also be voted on by membership. We don't just automatically do something year after year after year, because the needs in the communities are changing. And really, to have an impact and to let everybody be a stakeholder in your club, you know, when you start out your year, when you're new, the week after the new president comes, like, we look at our program of service and we talk about what these things are, what it entails, and do we want to continue to do this? Does this still serve the needs? How do we get a greater impact? How do we get greater visibility in our community? You know, community gardens is a great way. You know, people would be driving by all the time seeing that, versus something that no one sees. You know, sometimes service you do, like we do coats for kids, and we're certainly not going to put patches on the coats that says this coat was provided by the Rotary Club, you know, but there are ways to get your club maybe a little bit more visible in your community by starting a pollinator garden, starting a food forest, you know, really addressing today's needs. And people are passionate about the environment, I think. And so that's a great way to get people maybe on board. So I love the ideas. I love the exchange. I truly enjoyed Diana's open doors. I was brand new to the district then. I knew nobody. And like Ralph, I served on the Social Equity Task Force for a year and a half, had never met him in person until we went to DG Victor's installation. And then I was like, oh my gosh, Ralph, that's you. I know that voice. You know, it's me, Tracy from Social Equity Task Force. So I think Zoom is a great way for all of us to connect and not have to leave our homes. But Rotary is just such a force, and get out, visit other clubs, see how other clubs are doing things. So you don't get, you know, so you can reinvent yourself, because that's the beauty of Rotary, is we're all here trying to do. So reinvent your club, reimagine Rotary. That's what I would love these meetings to be called, reimagine Rotary. So thank you, Dr. Victor, for asking me to lead off this year's meeting. And I hope to be able to do this again. And if anyone needs help, you're always welcome to reach out to me. I'm happy to help.
Thank you, Tracy. I thought this was a great meeting. I even got some ideas from it.
Tracy, can you put your contact information in the chat?
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and post it.
Okay. Give me a minute, friends.
Can I just say one more thing, especially to those clubs that are having new members, a lot of new members. And someone talked about, you know, all the jargon of Rotary and people not understanding. When we don't have a speaker, or if we have sort of, let's say, a light night, we do a member spotlight, and we do it with a new member and a seasoned member. So the seasoned member gets up and speaks a little bit about their experience with Rotary, and then the new member gets up, gets to talk about themselves. People learn who they are, and then we can find out their passions and what they're interested in. So it's a really good way to interact with people who have been Rotarians for 35 years and people who have been Rotarians for 5 minutes.
That's a good idea.
Diana has her hand up.
I have a couple of comments. Jen, when you said that your club, well, your club has done great, 13 members in the year 2021, unheard of, and that's the pandemic year. But when you said that when you invite a new member, the person who invites them should be their mentor. And that's an old tradition in Rotary. And for some reason or another, we kind of forgot about that over the years. So what I'm saying here is, we all know that Rotary is changing by the day, by the hour, but still there are so many good things that we can revisit, reinvent, if you like, from the traditional Rotary. Alex, 6 members since his induction in July. I was a witness at his induction when there were 2 young ladies who just came by, and he started to recruiting them right there and then at the spot. Honestly. And he said, okay, what do you want to do? What is your passion? How's that gonna work? It is here, our club is the right club for you. So I guess that's one of the best strategies ever. Johnny said the magic word. I know Johnny is not on the call anymore. We ask. And you have to have a new sets of eyes, new ideas, and get fresh blood. And that's how we are getting to Mark's idea that I love. When he said, show me 5 people that you want to see in your Rotary in 5 years. So if you wrap that all up, I think this is gonna be the best district in Zone 32 in 5 years.
Great.
Yeah, go ahead, John. John Peterson, I see your hand raising.
I'd like to offer a perspective, not necessarily something about my club, but just a perspective in general, that we're part of a organization that's over 100 years old that in general, nobody knows about. And has not only does not know it doesn't exist, but doesn't know that it's been around this long. And I bring this perspective only because I would like to see the ability for a national program to bring attention through television or other medias to the country. And this could be done on a smaller level, state by state, that may be more specific to that state. But I mentioned this, and I know it's late. I don't want to get into it. I do have ideas about how it can be done, but I want to share the idea that we are an unknown organization, unfortunately, and need the publicity of what we, not only the name Rotary, which doesn't mean anything, except in the old days it meant old men who went around in circles, but the need to bring it to the attention of the world in terms of what it does internationally, that no other organization has ever come close to. And I'd just like to leave you with that thought because it's late.
Thank you, John. Ralph, did you have one last comment, Ralph?
I'd just like to add to what he just said. The rules have changed. Spent 10 years of my professional life doing public rollouts and connecting with the press. And it's always been the mantra in the most humble way that Rotary didn't brag and didn't really tell a lot of people what they did. Well, the rules have changed, and I don't mean that we should be anything but humble, but in order to survive in this minute by minute, second by second ability to get your message out in 150 million different media outlets, Rotary has to compete. And so I would just back up and bolster the last comments that we can still remain humble, but you got to tell people what Rotary's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to discuss this more about maybe making March membership month or something, because I think that's the birth date of Rotary is March. And maybe we, figure out a way as a district. Pardon me?
It's February. February.
Oh, it's February? Okay. So, maybe March, because March is just after winter, and February we're in the dead of winter. But maybe we, pick a month that we decide, we make membership month, and we really think about, share ideas. We don't all have to think of 50 different ways to do it if we don't want to. We can, have 5 different models and replicate that over 50 clubs. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have, I say this in my club all the time, we don't have to work harder. We have to work smarter, because our time is all valuable. So, I think that there's so much we could do, and I'm excited to work with all of you. So I really hope we can, continue on this conversation, that this is just a beginning. So.
That's great. Well, thank you all. The evening's getting late, and thanks again. Thank you, Tracy.
Good night, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
So
See you soon.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. It was yesterday. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Have a good night.
Good night.